So I just finished my third cabin retreat weekend, and I come out here and there's no electricity. It's out on the ocean, and the quiet from having no electricity is an amazing thing to behold. There's so many whirs and like rotors and computer fans and all kinds of things going on at my house, plus 2 kids, a husband, and a Vizsla, which is a very high energy, very, very high energy dog that I am crazy enough to have. And so the quiet is so relaxing and yet also confronts things in a way. And you realize that your sort of disturbed thought patterns aren't necessarily caused by the crazy environment in which you live, or I do, or if a 9 to 5, once you get away from it and you don't know what you're meant to be doing, this is kind of where you get the opportunity to let go of thoughts. And so often we schedule one of these things and we have a whole bunch of sort of expectations for how it should be, and we think that we might have some like breakthrough meditation session, or might really get going on a project or something like that. And the breakthroughs and the synchronicity are sometimes so subtle and hit so fast that it's almost as if it's just if it never happened. And yeah, that kind of goes deeper into something. But on this trip in particular, I decided to go walking on the beach, and this beach has beautiful rocks. They're just, ever since I was a little kid, I've just stared at rocks on the beach and very intensely, and I'm always like looking at them very closely. And I picked one up and I put it back, and I'm like, you know, these are perfect right where they are. Like I don't have a desire to take these rocks. And it was a very short distance from that I found my first ever cracked open amethyst geode. So I took it. And yeah, I also had the realization that sometimes the thoughts that come up that feel really yucky, there would be no language whatsoever behind. And so I would try, like in that instant, to express what the thought was in language. I actually did this sitting to meditate the first time I saw it clearly. Or I don't know what caused me to do this, but actually like forcing myself to think in meditation is kind of different. But anyway, so what I found was that if I instantly expressed it, the words that I had to come up with to do it were so hilariously ridiculous that it just like shattered the whole, like whatever it was that was coming up. And so I continued to do this outside of meditation, and I'm not saying that it's going to be hilarious every time. It might make you bawl. But just expressing with the language. Now this seems like the opposite route to take, because breathe, like when I went for a swim in the very, very cold ocean, breathing and letting go of those thoughts was where it was at. Those thoughts were already expressed in language and didn't feel good. But occasionally I'd have these awful thoughts come up. And I've always journaled, like when I start to feel really bad, and I think that's where the momentum starts to increase, and then I journal, and expressing it in language and seeing it outside feels really great. But this was kind of something new that I could have, like just this flash thought that felt really bad, and I could put it into language and kind of like shine the light on it in that way. And that it couldn't be expressed. It was just absolutely ridiculous. So I don't really know what those are. Some thoughts are not, they're not put into language, of course. And it's interesting that feeling is still responding to it. So a couple other interesting things happened. I decided to paint, and I haven't painted in a really long time. And I noticed how horrific it is to start a painting. Like, all the like doubt and I can't do this is a waste of time, I'm not good enough, all of it just like comes up, and then you draw like an outline and it's not quite right, and then you're like, see but if you just like put it on canvas, you have your image of what you want to paint, you're just see those thoughts and drop them, it so quickly becomes. And painting especially, like, it's so tough to get started, and then it just becomes this really, really rewarding thing. And so many people have told me that they can't do art, and you 100% can. It's just that we often feel we may judge something as silly, like painting or yoga or Reiki or whatever it is. We may judge it as silly and never get to it, or we may actually have a desire to do it. And then we think that we're not good enough and we're silly. And then it's actually the discord of those thoughts we're avoiding, not the action at all. So that's where we get totally mixed up. And once you see through that, you can do anything. And if it comes out bad, if it comes out good, so it's the rather than like looking or needing something to turn out a certain way, but allowing it to be an experience that allows you to see where those thoughts are and simply let go of them, and no longer see your success in the thing as the source of happiness, but the letting go of thoughts and the immersion in it and the becoming of it. It's such a different way to look at things and such a rewarding one. Highly suggest it. So the whole of the retreat or weekend sort of had that, where I would have like expectations come up. I would feel lost. Oh my gosh, this chaotic, busy, amazing life I have is totally slowed down. I have these opportunities to doing things. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it well enough. I should be meditating instead of doing this, or I should be doing this instead of it. The realizing that thought is why you're here, just immediately to see, the whole thing, no matter what you do with it, is why you're here. Whether you go somewhere or not. You don't even have to do any of these practices. But the practices are they turn out to be incredibly rewarding and showing you exactly that you didn't have to do them. So do them. So the other sort of magical thing that happened was in one of the very long meditation sessions, I just had tears running down my eyes, which is a very common occurrence. And I remembered that the friends who I'm renting this cabin from, they said that they were going to go kayaking, and so I wasn't sure if they were going to be right in front of my place or not. I wasn't sure where they were going to put the kayaks in. And so I thought, like, I don't want them to see me crying. And then I realized, I'm like, what? I'm like, wow, the most like beautiful, absolutely like raw, beautiful aspects of us are the ones we want to hide the most, the ones we call ugly. And yeah, I probably cried some more. But then I ended up having a conversation with the person who owns it, and I thought that I was going to him and he thought he was going to me. So like right in front of that picture window that I thought that they might be able to see me, and we had this conversation and we both like ended up crying. It like hours after that, and it was a beautiful conversation. And yeah, so there were a lot of times like that when it was instantly like seeing how we create our reality creates us. Anyway, I highly suggest doing a retreat if you can, or even just taking a relaxing vacation. Like, you don't think that you have to like sit there and meditate through the entire thing. I have slowly used these to meditate as I want to push myself that way, and to do a bunch of other things, and it has worked out quite beautifully. And again, you're not here to achieve anything. Really doesn't matter. You don't need to do it, and that's exactly the reason to do it.